Hey guys, um, welcome to the live. So I decided I'm gonna do a live about tips and tricks and different knowledge for all the college, first time college students out there, or people going back to college or whatever. Um, in modern times, and for for 4 years, for 2 years, for trade schools, I got a lot of knowledge for you guys. Uh, so we'll be going over some different things. Please ignore all the traffic out there. I live near, or I'm currently staying in a dorm in a bus or near a bus stop. So if you are going to college for the first time, there is a lot of different things that you probably need to know. One of the things is try not to overwhelm yourself. I have a coworker who's going for I don't know what program, but he's going to the same school as I am, trying to do 19 credits this semester, this fall semester alone, 6 to 7 classes. He told me that is just way too much. Plus, he's also trying to do RA, do his job, and be uh, and date his girl. So yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I highly do not recommend you try and take on that much. One thing that's good to do is like I do when I look at tools, look at all your options. You're probably going to want to date your girlfriend. Yes. Is it very important to you that you try and rush through multiple classes for multiple credits and attempt to get done it a few years earlier? For me, that was not the case. I'd rather take 12 credits, which is full time here, and get done a little bit longer, even though I'm 24 and I'd like to go to my career faster, but I rather take the time to do a better job. That's just how I am. I'd rather get higher grades so that way it looks better for me over a longer time rather than try and rush it, get bad grades, and then not get my job. Uh, Also, plan your study times. So if you're going to do a job, try and have certain hours and make sure you set those hours with your job. And sometimes that job might be fine with you um, not coming in that day, depending on what it is. So in my case, I this is my second college actually. So for background for me, um, before I get into this, I graduated in 2016 from high school. Uh, so um, apologize. Sometimes I might have to adjust this because I can't sit here all the time and be on coffee. So graduated college in 2016. I decided that I was going to take a year off because I didn't really know what college I wanted to go to, what I wanted to really. Uh, I knew my end goal, but I didn't know what college I wanted to go to, and I wanted to try and work and try and save money and or then go to college at a 2 year, do some program or do some classes and do it cheaper. Um, so originally my plan was 2017, fall 2017. I was going to go back to college. I was going to go to college and do generals. Well, that ended up not happening. I just didn't have that much uh, want or drive at that time. So I'm like, well, and I also just lost. I was in a crappy job working at Walmart, and then eventually a month after, or a few weeks after school was supposed to start. Granted, I wasn't applying then. Uh, After school was supposed to start, then all of a sudden, they let me go because I had written up too many times. So it kind of gave me the kick in the pants of, well, I'm gonna go find a job, and then get. I'm also gonna go back to. I'm gonna go to school now. Couldn't go back. I didn't want to go back this semester because I would be behind, but I decided I'm gonna go spring of 2018. So that's what I ended up doing. I had a job. I was going. I was gonna go to school, and ended up having right after I started school or going to college. I was doing online. Also, decide whether you can do or try an online class. Don't try and do all online classes because that might end up screwing you up. So, at least for me, it sucks to do online classes depending on how well the instructor does their job of trying to put out ways of like everybody can learn rather than just like here figure it out on your own. Um, One of my classes was I could sit there listen to his lectures with the PowerPoints, and that's it worked out well for me. Another one, it was just basically here do everything on your own, and I'm not gonna have any input in it. It's just all on you. So figure out if you can do online or in person, if what works best for you. So I was doing online. 8 credits. Full time was 16. Half was 8, of course. And at that 2 year school, um, so the what you want to call it, the school, or so I was doing part time, so that way I could get financial aid. Otherwise, I wasn't gonna get anything. So that whole, or so for half that semester, I was working 6 weeks straight. I ended up working 6 weeks straight because my one job decided that they were going to schedule me a whole lot of hours. And I was working 2 jobs. So I was working 6 week for this was a 6 week period that I worked 6 weeks or 6 days straight. I was working anywhere from a 12 to 15 hour day. So the 15-hour days would have been when I worked at my second job. Might have been longer because I was working from like 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. So it might have been longer. So I was working 11-hour days or 12 to 15-hour days for 6 weeks straight, and I would have no drive when I came home to do any homework or anything else. I pretty much sleep or maybe play video games. I just wouldn't have anything to do or didn't really want to do anything. So even on my day off, I really wouldn't do anything at all. I I should hope. So with signing up, my instructors are like, well, you probably should just uh, what you want to call it, withdrawing. They call it withdrawing. They don't call it dropping. It's called withdrawing. Uh, it might say drop classes, but W means withdraw. Um, Basically, it's a fancier way of saying you dropped the class. Anybody that tells you it doesn't affect your GPA is lying because it affects your GPA overall. Because they'll look at like how many credits you took, how many you tried taking, how many you completed, and then what your GPA was for those class or for all that, and it ends up being a 0 for any withdrawals. So they screw you over. They say it doesn't affect it, but it does. Um, because I calculated out what my GPA would have been if or without those. It fucked my GPA. So yes. So I ended up withdrawing. All I decided, well, at that age I was 20 years old. So I was 20 years old at that time, and I decided, well, I don't want to go and I don't want to try and do generals again or liberal arts, what it's called. If you ever hear somebody liberal arts, it's just they're taking the general education classes, which is math, science, English, stuff like that. Um, so taking that, I didn't want to do that. Granted, it would save me money in the long run. I didn't want to do it because it had been 12 grand for 2 years. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to have something I could fall back on because what I would like to do is to become an NCIS special agent, and that takes a lot, or that's a lot to do. There's a lot of requirements. Luckily, they just bumped up the age, and unfortunately, the requirements went up, or what was required went up too. Uh, but the age went up a little bit, so I have a little more time. Thank God for that. That just happened this year. Uh, so I'm like, well, I want to get my stuff, and I want to get that. But I also want a backup. I want to save money, but I want a backup. Well, I ended up deciding, well, I want something I can fall back on. I did not want to. Sorry, my hands are. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. Uh, so I want to have a thing to fall back on. So I decided, well, or my dad talked about a guy he worked with, or not worked with, knew they were retired at age 50, a millionaire, because of non-destructive testing and 18. And you can go look it up. I'm not going to explain. So he was doing that, but it was going to be an hour drive to the campus. It was the same college, two different campuses. One was an hour from my house. One was 15 minutes. So, and I didn't trust my car. So I decided to go with auto mechanics, which was 15-minute drive away. So did that. Now I have automotive experience and all that. I don't have to deal with retail or any crap like that. Thank God. Um, so thankfully for that. Ooh, I'm tired all of a sudden. So go through that, and so I decided, well, I don't want to go back in the fall of 2018, which I'm kind of glad I didn't because the whole COVID thing was kind of. Although I would have not had to deal with most of it, but still, there's a chance I was actually going to graduate, walk on the stage. Ended up not. But so, um, go back fall of 2019. So I took 3 years off from the time I graduated to the time I went back to school. Went through my whole 2 year program, graduated in 2021, and was originally going to move fall of 2021. Ended up moving in fall of 22 up to the college I'm at now. I just did 2 semesters here this year. So so I did spring and summer semester of 22, and I'll be doing fall 22 here in a few weeks. So that's my whole thing. Um, so I'm going to talk about the 2 year. If you're going to go to a 2 year, first off, decide, are you going for a trade? Are you going to go so you can get cheaper school? Are you going for a different program? So there are programs that are not trades that you can go to for, like criminal justice is one that was at my school. There's another one for law enforcement. Like you can go through the whole law enforcement thing. It's like a 2 year program at another college that was an hour from my house. Uh, so I could have done that too if I really wanted to, and incorporated learning about law enforcement, and then you could also do your uh, back your police academy. It was all rolled into one. Um, so you gotta go for your liberal arts, or you could go for a trade like auto mechanics, welding, auto body, nursing, um, vet tech, stuff like that. So if you're looking at a 2 year, look at the or look at it and see what you're going for there. Next, if you're looking to go to a trade school, again, look at what you're trying to go for or what you want to do as a trade. Um, Try and find some of the better ones. If you can find like what is the best school, granted, it might be a little more weight. Like my school, we were voted number one. My we were voted number one in the state, at least for community colleges. Most of our trades programs were voted number one, and yeah, it shows. I've dealt with people from other places and they're stupid, uh, because their shit just they just focus on too much crap that doesn't need to be focused on, or they don't teach them that well. Like one guy that I used to work with, he went to school up here, and they were going to teach him how to rip apart a normal engine, a turbo engine, a GDI engine, a hybrid engine, a race engine. It's like, why do you need to know that? Most of that stuff can be simply learned on the job of how to rip it apart. You get one engine at the school I went to, you rip it apart, and you learn about a lot of different things. Oh yeah, there was a lot of different things that they're stupid about at other schools. But so yeah, uh, so there's that. Um, it's kind of better if you find a place that is going to have the top not or that's going to be voted number one because it's going to offer you better learning, training, knowledge, stuff like that. Uh, Also, find a trade school. Like some trade schools might require you to just know how to weld. Let's say it's welding or auto mechanics. You need to know how to you should know how to weld all the different things, or you need to know how to uh, work on cars. Well, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can walk on and off the street and be like, "Oh yeah, I know how to work on cars. I know how to do this." Well, the school I went to for trade schools, they required you have at least I think it was 5 or 10 years. So it's 5 or 10 years of actually working on cars, having certifications, and going for your bachelor's to teach. Uh, so when you're going for the bachelor's, or I don't remember if you had to go for the bachelor's or not, but yeah. So they went, or so they were teaching. And then they also had their many years. They're still active in the auto mechanic community. One of my instructors works on his own stuff too. He worked on his own stuff at home. He worked on some of his farm equipment. He worked at many different shops over the years. Plus, he also still worked at a shop actively, or not very active, but he was help out. Um, so yeah, he got that, and my other one, he had 20 some years. I forget if he was still actively in the or in a shop or not, but he had a lot of knowledge. A lot of them too or they also have a board of different shop owners and managers and service managers and stuff like that that would bring up different things to them, like, hey, we're seeing this, you probably should teach them this. They're incorporating it into the learning. um, I forget what it's called, but yeah, that's a great thing to find in a college too. So I highly recommend you find one like that too. um, so I found, and it was great because there was might have been a wait, and there might not have been, and I was able to get in right away for fall 2019. There was no wait for me at all, which is really nice. So I had that. Um, then so I learned a lot. Um, if you decide you're going to move to a school, no matter what, look into apartments or how long it would take you to drive there or whatever. Plan if your car is going to get you there, what jobs are there. Uh, Make sure you can find work. If you're working as a trade and you're going to be in a trade shop, so a welder working a weld shop, auto tech or auto body technician working in an auto body shop, auto mechanic working in an auto shop, uh, so stuff like that. Um, Also, I think too is to kind of look out there and see if your boss, like, let's, or because, uh, try and find out if they are part of that board that helps train your class or that helps the instructors know what's best for or for them to teach you. Uh, so find that out. Like my manager at the first shop worked at, he was on that board. So yeah, also helped part of my learning too. But so if you get one of those shops, bring up that, hey, what would happen if I had a project that I needed to finish? It was due that day. Would you write me up, or would I get in trouble for calling in, telling you I'm not coming in today or I'm gonna be late? Would it go against me? That was one amazing thing about the shop that I first worked at. Because he understood that, there would be very few times. There would be once a month because that's about how often we had our class end. Because that was nice. It was for a whole month. We would learn about, say, brakes and suspension. And then for the next month, we learned about automatic transmissions. The next month, we learned about electrical, specifically like starting and charging systems. And then the next month, we'd learn about manual transmissions. The next month, we might learn about uh, engines. So it was kind of nice like that. Be 1 month or each month, we'll learn something different. And so that way we can focus on rather than here, here's all four classes. We're going to teach you those over the whole semester, and you're going to have to try and learn them all, and you're going to have to switch up. So that was nice. So also recommend if you find something like that, if you're going in auto mechanics or some other program, that you can do that. But yeah, so my boss was like, yeah, if there's something like you have to finish or he said straight up to me, like I didn't even ask for this. He's like, I understand you're going to the college for auto mechanics. If you end up having a project that you need to finish and you can't make, or you can't make it in work, or you're going to be late to work, please give me a call. Let me know what's going on, and we'll get it figured out. Perfectly fine. He ended up not needing anybody to come in and pick my shift because we'd end up scheduling a lot of people. This was right before the pandemic, and during the pandemic, so it worked out great. I only worked there for 14 months because I couldn't stand some of my coworkers. So, go that. So that was nice. Uh, so as soon as that happened, or so there'd be a few times where I'm like, all right, well I can finish up my project today because I don't have work, or well I work 6 days a week, so I'm like, oh yeah, I can get this. I got this finished. I don't have to call in, or I don't have to call in earlier. I can go to work. Sweet, bye. Or hey, I'll be a hour late or 30 minutes late or whatever. I gotta finish this up. I gotta get this done so I can get to work. Um, or if I was working on my car, I need to get this done so that way I can get to work or whatever I was doing. Um, but then I would also have it where uh, there'd be times where my project, I knew it was going to take a long time. So I'll be like, hey, I can't come in. Great places to work, if they're small places, that allow that. Sometimes the environment might be a little toxic, like that one was. So it was a little bit toxic, but at least it was pretty decent for me to be able to call and be like, hey, I can't come in. So now, this is also a tip for everybody. No matter what you do, when you get your schedule, so your class schedule, your work schedule, whatever schedule, only send it to the people that need to know about it. If it your parents need to know, send it to your parents. If your work needs to know, send it to your work or your manager. Print it off, give it to them in a printout, send them a text. Please, for the love of God, for your safety, for the or to save people from heartache on this, do not, absolutely do not, never ever get take a picture of your schedule and post it on social media. That is literally how crimes are end up committed. Somebody's gonna find out your schedule, where you go to, aka I am not in at all said in this whole thing what state I'm in, what college I went to, what city my parents live in, what city I am in now, what college I go to now, what my schedule for the fall semester is at all. You have not heard me say that once, as a safety precaution for me and to save my family and my girlfriend from the heartache of not finding me alive. Because there are people that out there that do wish to harm anybody they can. They do not give a rat's about you whatsoever. They are only going to try and do what they want. For example, you might find out that, or so, like, let's say I post my, I'm going to pick a random school in a random state. Uh, let's say I'm going to or University of Florida. Let's say I'm going to University of Florida in Orlando, Florida, I think is where it is. So let's say I'm going there. So I'm going to that school. Well, I post on or I post online that I'm going to have math class at 9 to 10. My car is parked in lot A. I have I'm not going to be there till this time. I work at this location. I work from this time to this time. Well, A or so first off, let's say somebody wants to steal my stuff or harm me, or so let's start with steal stuff. Well, they can honestly earn where I'm staying too. So if they feel like it, they can break into my dorm. They can break into my car. Or let's say there's a rapist out there. The rapist could find me at that time, this location, whatever, and try and rape me. Granted, I'm a guy, so it's gonna be very unlikely that guys or that somebody's gonna come after me to try and rape me. Not saying it doesn't happen, but it's very unlikely. So, or let's say somebody would like to destroy my property. So they can either break into my dorm, they can break into my car. Let's say somebody wants to murder me, somebody wants to shoot me, and say I cut somebody off in the part or cut somebody off or flip somebody off, and they've been following me for a long time or whatever, and all of a sudden they can't find me anymore. They haven't seen my social media. Well, I had this time, this time, and this time, and this time. I'm at this place, and this place, and this place. Well, at this time, I'm in a place where there's not going to be somebody around. Well, then that's an opportunity for them to break in and kill me or injure me, assault me, hurt me, maim me, whatever they want to do. That is going to be something they can do because they know it. Again, Do not send any personal information to anybody that you shouldn't, or post it on anything any social media you shouldn't be posting it on, or so that people can see it. Like I said, send it in a text or hand it to that person. Like, let's say I want my girlfriend to know, hey, here's my schedule. Well, I'm going to send it to her in a text message. Hey, I want my mom to know. Well, I happen to have a printout from it. Well, I'm going to hand it to my mom and be like, hey, mom, here's my schedule. Please do not contact me during any of these times. If you do, I might answer it and tell you to go screw yourself, or I might just not answer it, or whatever I decide to tell. Granted, I'm not gonna tell my mom and I'm gonna pick it up and tell her what herself, because most of the time I'll have my phone on silent. That way nobody can hear it. Or I might, like right now, I'm listening to music while I'm doing this live, and then uh, I will hear it, and nobody else in the room has to hear it. Uh, Another thing too is anybody that's coming from high school to college, anything that a high school professor or high school teacher told you, well, you might not, you probably, or college won't let you do that. I can almost guarantee you everything they told you is a bunch of bullshit. I've literally had in or high school or high school teachers tell me, well, a college professor isn't going to let you go to the bathroom when you want. Bullshit. They don't give a fuck. There's some that might care. There's some that might not. Here's a great example. If I need to go to the bathroom, they ain't gonna give a fuck if I walk out of the classroom. If I have a doctor's appointment that is at that time and I can't show up to class, they're not gonna give a fuck. Granted, if you ask and be like, hey, or if you ask at the end of the class before the class that you're, so like, let's say I have math Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Well, I have a doctor's appointment and math is at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Monday, Tuesday, or Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Each day I have it. And I have to have a doctor's appointment at 1 on Wednesday. Well, on Monday, I'm going to let my professor know that, hey, I'm not going to be here at this time. What are we doing? Or I might come in on Friday and be like, hey, I had a doctor's appointment at this time on Wednesday. I wasn't able to make it. Can you please catch me up on what I missed? Or an email or something so you can talk to them and let them know, or office hours or whatever, and be like, hey, I wasn't able to make this. What do we do? So that way you are caught up. It's a great thing to do, whether in high school or college, or even sometimes work, depending on what the project is. So it's a great idea for that. Are they going to care if you show up? No, they're not. You could literally I've literally seen people and heard people, they only show up like 1 day a week or for a test. Like they don't show up any other times because some professors will do certain things. Like I had a professor who would post the notes and stuff and all that stuff online, so that way you could be like, all right, yep, this is the stuff for today. I can write all this down, or I can skim through this and be like, that's important, that's not, that is, that isn't, not, yes, yes, stuff like that. I also had another professor, which I dropped her class because of her BS of wanting, it's a 3 credit class. She wanted 10 different things each week, and it was on one chapter. So it would be a quiz on each section, a test on the chapter that was not the big test, a big test on the chapter, also along with different things like she had you watch a video or read a passage on something else and write an essay on it or a research paper or something like that. She actually asked for research papers before. I basically said, nope, I'm not doing that because it's like bullshit. And why am I having to do this? And so I ended up only getting that or a certain amount of percentage, and I dropped that class. Never taken it again. if I have a chance or I can avoid taking that teacher's class again, or any class of hers, I definitely will. Um, that's a nice thing about having a lot of different things, options out there. Um, so sorry. Um, so that was nice to get out of that. But yeah, you'll have teachers like that decide to way overdo the amount of stuff. Like, let's say the school settings are here, and maybe the teacher's gonna have their standard. This is what the school wants you to teach. This is what the teacher teaches you. Or they might have a teacher like this. A school, a school expects this. A teacher expects this. You might have a teacher that expects this. You might have a teacher that expects this. So just a little bit below standards. They might meet the standards, or you have a fucking teacher that might exceed the standards a little bit of what the school wants. But then you got teachers that expect this much, like freaking way too much. And that's what she did. So try and figure out, like, if you can figure out from other people you know and people you meet, hey, what or is there any classes out there that I should avoid because the teacher expects way too much for what little is it, or for what little you end up doing. So what little I mean by like what amount of credits. So for a 3 credit course, she should not have been asking for a whole 16 credit course worth of work. Granted, there's not 16 credits worth, but she was asking for about that much in a week. Um, so uh, try and figure stuff out like that. Also, um, figure out like where, or take a tour of that school before and kind of figure out where all your classes might be. So, like for me, for criminology, which is what I'm taking, I am at the complete opposite end of the school from the dorms, and all the stuff's connected. So it's good for me to be closer to the dorms. Granted, whether I have to live in maybe less than desirable conditions from other places. Like, granted, they're all up to standards, but the one I'm moving to is supposedly has a different smell to it. It's all guys. Uh, it's one of the oldest buildings, or it's like one of the original dorms, uh, along with what I'm staying in right now. So it's like that. Um, so yeah, you're gonna have stuff like that that you might have to accept. Um, but yeah, so for different things like that, sorry, uh, there might so figure out where it's going to be best for you to stay in a dorm or apartment, which dorm or apartment you prefer. Most of them will give you like at least 3 different options. You can be like, hey, most of them, if you're like, it's going to be, I want to live in a dorm. Well, for a dorm, you have this option, this option, this option. That's going to have your whole dorm list. Or I want to live in an apartment. Well, here's your apartment list that are attached to schools. Um, and then like was it NDSU? Then you have, well, here's a dorm style, here's apartment style. They're all the same, all dorms, but one's gonna be a little bit more expensive, one's a little farther away, one's attached, one's got a smaller amount of stuff and options and stuff like that. So you got a lot of different things like that. Um, I just throw out NDSU because that was one that that doesn't have apartments, but has apartment style dorms. Uh, then also check out: do you want to join a sorority? Do you want to join a fraternity? Granted, most or a lot of them are no longer allowed to, or wherever allowed to do half the stuff that, or 99% of stuff you see in movies and TV shows. It is against the law for them to do all that hazing, harassment, and torture, even against the Geneva Convention, not just the Geneva Convention, even the law, even the laws of the city, state, county, federal, whatever. They're not allowed to do half that crap that you see in there. Um, if they do an initiation, it's supposed to be something small and simple. Um, say it's, oh, you have to put on a swimsuit and run in those. So, well, that's something simple. It's not going to get you in trouble. You might get really cold, but they can't do anything massive, and you don't have to do anything that's against your will and stuff like that. Or they might just be like, hey, it's you have to have a 3.0 GPA from high school and keep a 3.0 GPA to stay in the fraternity. Well, here's this. And most of the fraternities I've heard of, they also are not a housing option. So if you stay in them, if you can, they are, you have to do it on your own or whatever. It's not a actual housing option, but most of them will be like, oh yeah, we have a building for our fraternity, but we're also our people stay in the dorms. That's how it is with some of the ones that are up here at the college I'm at. There's no buildings, but we have. Um, so yeah, but there might be. I think there might be one around here that has the actual or house or something like that. But yeah, most of them aren't gonna uh, be a really housing option at all. Uh, some studying tips for you guys. Was it? I believe it's for every hour for every credit you have of a class. For every credit you take, you should do 2 hours a week of studying. So I take a 3 credit course. I should have 6 hours of studying I do each week for that class. Um, whether that's getting ahead on classwork, uh, working on a project that's doing a bit or whatever, doing some research, stuff like that. Something simple like that. Uh, it all depends on what you do. Some people like me, sometimes I don't know if it's part of like how I'm made up or whatever, or if I got like a mental disorder or something like that. I'm trying to figure that out. I have a doctor's appointment and stuff like that coming up. Uh, but so I'll be doing that, um, trying to figure stuff out like that and figure out what's going on because I used to just take a long time to study and I used to take sit down, but now I and other things like it. You can give me a paper, I could have 5 weeks on it. I'll knock it out in the last like week, day, even, depending on what it is. Um, so it all depends on how you work. Make sure you plan that time. Also, do not try and take on more than you need to with different things. So if you want to be a part of an organization, figure out what they do. Do you need to be there all the time? Do you not need to be there all the time? Um, when do they meet? Um, different things like that. Uh, with the job, figure out, do you need a job? It, I think everybody should have a job in college. Granted, it doesn't have to be this ginormous, I have to work 50, 60 hours a week just to support myself job. Maybe, maybe 20 hours a week. You need 20 hours a week to pay your bills. Or maybe you're going to do like 20 hours a week so that we have some fun money. All depends on what you want to do. Also, figure out where you want to work. Do you want to work in retail, customer service? Do you want to do manual labor? How far away do you want to work? Do you want to work at the camp, at school? Do you want to work 5 minutes away? Do you want to work 20 minutes away? Figure out stuff like that. Uh, so do it, or that too. Um, if you have uh, um, professors that have, or your professors are all going to have office hours. So figure out, well, um, it's always good to kind of maybe check in a little once in a while. Uh, with your professor, depending on like what it is, to check in. Just be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Or "Hey, I need help with this," or something like that. It doesn't hurt to check in with them. A lot of times, it's gonna be a pretty good. Whether that's just a quick question at the end of class, or if it's at their office hours or whatever. Um, like I checked in with my professors every once in a while and been like, "Hey, um, so I have a question on this, and I know you didn't get to it today or whatever, or you didn't get to me or whatever. Hey, um, so if A and B are related, does that mean C and D are related too? Or if I take A and B, does that get me D? Or whatever it is. Just an example. Also, make sure you check out their off, or make sure you're aware of their office hours. All of them are have it. They're going to give you a syllabus first day, whether it's online or in your student portal. There's a lot of different ones out there. Um, I've used D2L, Canvas, stuff like that. They'll give you, or they may even literally hand out an actual one. Otherwise, they might just be like, "Hey, go to your student portal and pull up the syllabus. I'm going on to the syllabus with you guys right now. I want you guys following along, paying attention, so that way everybody knows what to do, and I don't have to get 300 million questions halfway through the semester and be like, well, I didn't know about that. What was I supposed to do? I didn't know we were having this coming up." It's all going to be outlined. Most of them will have outlined like what is going on over the year or over the program, and like when stuff is due. A lot of the programs, student poll or programs out there too, will have uh, a calendar with it, like Canvas that we use here at my school. It will let me know because I have set up that, oh hey, your instructor added a assignment. An A assignment is due at this date. Um, I'll also have like, oh hey, your thing was graded, or you have this coming up, or different things like that. So it's great to have too. Also with your if you have if your thing doesn't automatically do that, pull up your syllabus and it should have your when stuff is we're doing stuff. So like week 1 we're gonna learn about A. Well, and week 2 we're gonna learn about B, and then we're gonna learn about week 3 is gonna be D, but then C is gonna be week 4. So you're assuming like you're gonna be week 1 is A, week 2 is B, week 2 is or week 3 is C, and week 4 is D. Oh, excuse me, pardon me. Oh, so it could be something like that. Uh, so it's best to do something like that. Um, so make sure you're aware of that stuff. A lot of them will have actually outlined assignments of due dates and like, hey, we're gonna do it this date. Most of them will not be like, hey, we're gonna move this up to this date. A lot of them might be like, hey, uh, because we had a snow day or class was canceled or I had to go to this. It was an emergency. We're gonna move this to this day. We're gonna move it back a day. Or they might be like, hey, we're supposed to have this day. I put it all online so you guys can all check it out. Or stuff like that. So it'll be something simple, easy like that. Um, if you have a car, if you want to bring up your car, make sure you check with your parking and transportation department, um, or whoever gives out the parking passes. Make sure you check with them and be like, hey, how many passes are allowed, or what pass do I need? First off, how many passes are allowed for this? When is the sign up for the passes? What happens if I don't get a pass? If I don't get a pass, is there places I can park near your campus? So for me, I got here in January at my campus. I had a car. I was not aware that they only gave out a certain amount. Uh, Granted, they probably all there's only a certain amount they give out. I didn't realize they run out of them. right beginning of the year. Before the year. Like, sign up was August 1st this year, which was yesterday. And they probably already ran out. There's probably people on the waiting list now. Uh, yeah, so there's going to be stuff like that where it's going to end up like that. Um, and you need to know that. Um, so for me, I didn't know that I needed to, or so there's no thing of like, hey, we see you're coming to school. We don't have anything, or we don't have passes right now for you. If you were wanting to bring a car, hey, you're gonna need a parking pass, but hey, you can park here, or stuff like that. I didn't get any of that. I had to find out that myself when I got here. So I had to park at night. I could park at the meters because they only were enforced from Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I'd get up at 5:45, 5:30 every morning, put on something warm, walk out to my car wherever I parked it at the meter, and move it to the lot or move it to the street because the street was enforced of snow emergency from 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. Come to find out halfway through the semester, they really don't care. They don't look really around here at all unless it's declared a snow emergency. So otherwise, they don't give a fuck. Uh, part, part of my language, they don't give a rat's tail. Uh, the local PD. Up here is actually one of the only places I know of that actually has actual police department versus like campus security. Oh, sorry, we have actual police, university police versus campus security. So they actually carry they're fully loaded like a cop, like a city cop or deputy or trooper or whatever is normally. Of course, they got the patrol cars and stuff like that, like the sirens. They have a full law enforcement thing. Um, so they got all that, um, which is which is kind of different, but it's kind of interesting. Uh, but it does kind of make it a little nicer to talk to them because they are a smaller area. Uh, so it's nice to see that. Um, but yeah, so there's a lot of different things that you kind of need to figure out, and then also kind of figure out like, hey, if I come back to class at this time, or if I come back from work and it's late at night, is there somebody who can help me or like what is it called? Um, oh my god, like a walking buddy or something like that. They have that around here. Um, so it's always nice to see something like that they have around here. You can always call it campus PD or campus security, whatever you want to call it, or whatever it is called, and um, so you could do that. Um, check, get that, or that way or that way you can feel safe. Um, there are apps out there that's you can have somebody walk with you, like a partner walk with you, or somebody, or like uh, you'd be like, hey, I'm walking from this place to this place with a friend or your dorm or somebody or your person you're staying with or your roommate. Like, hey, I'm gonna walk from this building. I'm gonna walk from building A to building or to our dorm, and it should take me this time. If I'm not back by this time, call me or text me. It's better if you call, FYI. That way they can physically hear your voice and be like, hey, yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, I just stopped to talk to somebody, or text them, let them know, hey, I know I'm walking from A to B, but I said, or I needed to stop over in C to talk to so and so. Well, then they know, and they can be like, all right, well, let me know when you get to C, so that way I know you're safe. And when you get done with whatever you need at sea, let me know when you're walking back to our dorm, so that way you can all that. Stuff like that. Just make sure you're kind of aware of different things. They might end up actually have. I don't know how I haven't done the first week or start of this actual school year at a 4 year college, so I'll let you guys know a little more when I start it this fall. But it's going to be something like that where it's going to be like, hey, this is what you need to do and stuff like that. Your safety precautions and stuff like that. Um, a lot of times you should have an orientation. There should be orientations that you can do, whether it's virtual or in person, uh, where they let you know, hey, um, this is what you need to do, and here's what happens if this happens, and this happens, and um, all this different stuff. Also, make sure you bring multiple different shoes. Uh, Here's why. Depending on where you're at, so like me, I live in a place that has snow in the winter. So I will have a pair of shoes I'm going to walk around campus with because everything's connected. So I have a pair of Crocs because I want to be comfy. I have a pair of tennis shoes for working out because it's uh, when I go to the gym, I want to play. Maybe I want to play basketball, but they don't allow outside shoes. I have a pair of hiking boots that I'll wear in the winter, or if I decide to go hiking. Which, if there's hiking areas around you, you might want to get some good shoes, whether that's hiking boots or really good tennis shoes or whatever. I recommend hiking boots. That way, you don't have a chance of rolling your ankle. Keen are a good brand for work boots or hiking boots. Um, they don't pay me anything, but I just had to let them or say that. I'm not a big fan of Red Wings. Uh, so you have those options. Um, and then also get yourself some sort of shower shoe, whether that's flip flops, slides, sandals, whatever. You definitely don't want to walk into the bathroom, to the shower without any shoes. Granted, if you want to, you can wear them in the shower. Target might still sell them. Amazon might sell them. But get yourself a pair of flip flops that have holes all along the sides. I can't grab them right now uh, because I don't know where they are. But I have a pair of. They're like $5 at Target. They have holes in them. It's great shower shoes. You walk in, and then like when you get done, the water isn't all over you, or you don't have to sit there and walk like with Crocs and your shoes are all nasty or whatever, or you don't have to worry about your tennis shoes getting soaked or whatever. It's something just for your shower. Also, if you want to, you can wear slippers or whatever. Just make sure you wear comfy shoes. Um, Also, figure out what kind of beds they have. A lot of them are going to have twin XL beds in the dorms and apartments or whatever, and make sure you get yourself some bedding. Get yourself a pillow or two, something comfy. Figure out like where you're going to be at, like what the beds are going to look like. As you can kind of see right here, it's a metal frame. Uh, there's normally the other bed is supposed to be on top of this in these style of rooms because of, or in this building because it's so small, but this is also a bigger area um, because it's a handicap room that I'm in right now, or it can be used for handicapped people. So there's that. Then, or you might, or it's like the other, or they're getting rid of these metal frames. They're putting in wood frames. The wood ones are supposed to be are a lot better. I don't have to deal with my pillow falling back because there's about that big of a gap between the one bar to the next, and then there's about that much gap from the bar to the mattress. Uh, and it does so it doesn't really stop. It's a good thing to have a extra pillow or two or whatever, uh, or one of these things. to kind of use as a backstop for other things too. Like I'm currently use it just for my pillow, or as you can kind of see, like I'm doing right now. I'm trying to put it back. But yeah, it's normally prevents my pillows from going back and getting stuck back there. So stuff like that, it's gonna be a great option. If you get really cold and it's place that has really cold winters, a heated blanket might be a good option too. Um, Also, make sure you look up under housing, like what is allowed in housing, like um, fridges. No kind of fridge is allowed in our dorms or apartments. We already have a mini fridge in here. We can't large fridge in the apartments. We're not allowed to bring another one. Microwaves up to 1,000 watts are allowed. Air fryers, toasters, toaster ovens are not allowed. Um, Swamp coolers, basically you put water into it and it's supposed to spray, or it's supposed to be a fan and misting you. Those aren't allowed here at all. So it's a good idea to learn like what is allowed and what isn't, because otherwise then you're going to be kind of SOL uh, for dealing with that stuff. Um, excuse me. In the long run, you might, and of course, they could take it away from you, tell you, "Oh yeah, you gotta send it home," or they could make, or depending on what they want to do, they could write you up or kick you out or whatever. So make sure you're aware of the rules too. Again, also speaking of rules, uh, do not ever, 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 as far as I know, alcohol is not allowed in most dorms. So don't bring alcohol in. Do not buy alcohol for anybody that is underage at all. And try not to party and try and keep the volume down, because there are people that are going to be pissed off. And if you piss them off, you don't know what that person is going through. Maybe they need it quiet because they got to test them more. Maybe they just had the worst day of their life. They just lost their parents. They got to go to the funeral tomorrow, whatever. Just try and be respectful and try and stick to the quiet hours that they have set. Most of the time on the weekends, it's going to be shorter hours. Like for the dorm I was in last year, in spring semester, it was 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., 12 a.m. to 12 or 8 a.m. on the weekends, and then the 10 was during the weekdays. So that way people would sleep right before they have tests in school and stuff like that. And then anyway, you can really have fun during the weekends. Also, try and be respectful of what your roommate would like. Try and keep your stuff neat. Like me right now, I'm the only one in here. So I got lots of crap that I'm trying to figure out and trying to get ready for the fall and make sure I don't have anything I don't need. So try and pack light. If you think you're going to use it more than a few times, bring it with you. If you don't think so, don't bring it. Bring a few games too, maybe a deck of cards, some dice, whatever you want to bring. I highly advise against you bringing your whole stock of board games and bringing ginormous games and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot to haul out, and you're probably not going to end up using it. Bring a small amount of stuff. Oh my god, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Please, for the love of God, use deodorant. Oh my god, it's just, trust me, you don't want to smell what a whole giant dorm of sweaty men smells like. It stinks so bad. Bring deodorant, make sure you're washed and clean, and bring towels and stuff like that. Your hygiene products, all that. Please bring it, because nobody wants to smell that at the end of the day, and it's just nasty. And if you start stinking like really bad, nobody's gonna like you. And then you're also gonna have issues of dealing with RAs and dorm other people. Please keep hygiene good. Um, if you want to make food on your own, you don't want to eat at the dorms. A lot of time they'll have stoves and different things around that you can use, pots and pans for loan. They might have movies that you can be lent out, different games too, so you don't have to bring your own games. Um, bring a fan. Uh, it doesn't have to be very big, depending on like what the setup is. Maybe you want a small fan, just a simple small fan. Maybe you want a big, or maybe you want a tower. Uh, I'll be aware, or be aware of what's going on. If you have a game console, go ahead, bring it. Just be aware that you might end up playing it as much as you did before college started. Also, if you want to bring a TV, bring your TV. I recommend 32-inch should be plenty enough for you for your dorm. You don't really need anything bigger than 32. Um, a lot of times, the only place you're going to have to store it is on your desk, and your desk isn't going to be that big. I'm looking at my TV right now, and it takes up most of my desk lengthwise, but widthwise, it's not that bad. But yeah, it's just be aware of it and stuff like that. Um, get a laptop, get an iPad, something, get some sort of computer. I do not recommend that you go out and buy an expensive monitor, an expensive tower, and bring that with you. Most colleges are not going to have uh, Ethernet set up. Mine doesn't. So, laptops, iPads, tablets, different things like that are great. One thing I've learned, currently using my laptop, but about the only time I use it is to do videos, because it's just better and easier for me to use them or for making my videos. Um, but otherwise, my iPad, I use that now all the time. I'll use it for taking notes. I can write on my. I don't have to use a notebook anymore because I got a notebook on it. I can use it to. I can write on it with, or I can get if you get an iPad or a tablet or something, get some sort of way to write with it. They have touchscreen pens and stuff like that that will work on any kind of touchscreen, and you can use it on that. And you can write on your screen with uh, the slides that the teacher has. You can write notes down. You don't have to use pen and paper anymore. It's all right there. Uh, bring your chargers if you want to bring a um, power strip. Bring one that's going to fit you. I think I paid like 30, $40 for the one I got. It's like a 12 thing, 12 port. That includes two USBs from Best Buy. Uh, so something like that would be great for yourself. That way you can have uh, your phone, your computer, your TV, console, or anything else that you want to charge plugged in there. Uh, depending, or make sure you bring good wall plugins or blocks, whatever you want to call them. These things. Make sure you bring good chargers. Don't go. Granted, if you want to buy them from Walmart, you're gonna buy the really cheap ones. I'd buy a few of them. Uh, I'd buy a few different lengths. Um, maybe you have one that's only a couple feet long uh, that you bring with you to charge on emergencies in your backpack or whatever. Also, bring a backpack. Um, you don't want that. Uh, pens and pencils, or pen and pencil is going to work great too. Um, Make sure you bring proper clothes for the area. So if you're from the north and you're moving to the south, shorts and t-shirts is going to be best. Going from the south to the north, winter coat and snow pants and boots and gloves and hats are all going to be essential. Don't know if you can buy them down there, but essentially you get them. Prep for the weather, detergent too. Because I just thought of it. Your detergent, it's gonna, or if you want to uh, do detergent, you can bring with you. If you want to try and if you want to try and not or have less spot of less stuff. Sorry, uh, you just get some pods, Tide Pods, Game Pods, whatever brand you want to use. Uh, get those. Um, I've been using. I'm just about out of Tide Pods that I've had since January. Granted, I haven't used it as much because I've had other ones, but yeah, I've had like two small bags. Also, that I've used to test out different ones of the pods I have, or I was kind of using them so that way I could uh, don't have to get detergent. I can just use them for like clean microfiber cloths. Uh, so yeah, I'm pretty much almost out, and it's lasted me from January until now August. So I'll have to get some right before school year starts. Um, so it all depends on what you want to do. Uh, you don't need to go out and buy the big, giant, enormous bulk amount of detergent or pods or whatever. Most of the stuff will last you a good long while. Uh, if you want to buy some air freshener, but don't buy that until you meet your roommate. A good thing too is move-in day. Uh, get here as early as possible. That way, not only are you going to be able to choose what bed you want, um, you'll be able to see more stuff, less hassle. The faster you get, or the earlier you get here, the less you have to deal with. Less people, less hassle. Um, if you stay over the summer, most of the time you'll be able to move into. So at the end of the school year, they might end up having you move in for summer to someplace else, like they did me. I had to move from one dorm to another, and now I'll be moving pretty much across the hall to the next dorm. Because there's this long, sorry, there's this long hall for the the storm. So the storm's just one giant long one story hall, and then there's this hall or that people walk down to go to the rest of the college, which is back behind me right now. And then over that side is the other dorm, so pretty much across the hall. Um, Forgot where I was going with that. Um, so it all depends, and then of course up that way where so the way I'm facing right now is away or towards the rest of the away from the main stuff of campus towards the dorms and or towards all the housing and stuff. Along with the housing office is that way too. Um, see what else is there. Make sure if you're gonna use air freshener that both of you are okay with it. Make sure there's no allergies with each other. Most of the time they'll give you like the contact information for your roommate. That way you can uh, get in contact before uh, and kind of get to know each other a little bit too. Um, Make sure you're looking out on your school email to um, look for any special notifications about different things at school. Um, some schools will let you know, like, hey, we're going to do bingo on this day, or we're going to have this special race or welcome weeks this day to this day, or any special things like that. So it all depends on all that different stuff. So basically, it's just kind of more of looking out, making sure you kind of get in your own stride, um, looking out for the different stuff, getting to know or try and make some friends, get to know people, go do fun things. Some of the different stuff that they do around campus might be kind of fun. If you get a time and ahead notice, or you need time off, request time off. Uh, Another tip that maybe or that isn't really related to school, but if you get a job and you want 2 days off in a row, offer to work weekends and say, hey, I'll work weekend. I can work weekends, but I would like 2 days off in a row. I almost had I think my boss pretty much got a hard on from that when I told him that, like, hey, I want 2 days off in a row and I want to work weekends. Uh, because there's very little people that want to work weekends. They need a lot of people that work weekends. So most of the time they'll give you or an easy way for you to uh, get more money too, because you don't have school. Um, Also, oh my god, guys, I'm losing my mind. I'm trying to think of all these different things off the top of my head. Um, with your job, make sure you put your availability to a decent amount. If you are coming up to the north area and you kind of want to plan a little bit of extra time to get to work, um, so let's say you're supposed to start at 1 o'clock and your class gets done at, or so let's say class gets done at 1 o'clock and it's going to take you 15 minutes to get to work. Well, it's best you don't tell them 15 minutes, or you don't tell them you can start at 1:15 because during the winter, it might end up not being that you can get there at 1:15. You might end up being late. You might get fired. Um, so do like 1:30 or 2 o'clock. Do something and give you a little bit of time to get to work. Um, that way, it's not going to be an issue, and you have a job. Or try and a lot of the schools will have like ways you can be employed as a student, like you're not doing works. So uh, most 2 year schools will do work study, and that's it. Um, some will actually offer uh, positions to students to make extra money, and this is wouldn't be work study. And then you also got the option too. Some schools will do it where you are a employee who happens to also be a student. That's kind of how it is with the school I'm at right now. Of like you can be an employee and then be a student too. You can be a student employee, or you can do work study. Um, it's a lot of different things. Make sure you choose a decent job that's not gonna either injury or injure any injuries they have. It's not gonna take any excessive work for you to do your job. Um, but yeah, just kind of make sure you're looking out there and checking out different things and making or and prep before you come. Um, so like right now would be best time for you to start looking on Indeed and LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter and other ad places and looking on career sites of the employee or different jobs around you that are going to be best for you. I highly don't recommend that you look for a job that's way away from you because then you're going to get back late. You're not going to have a lot of time to do anything. So, uh, 15 minute, 30 minutes, maybe max, I would say, for a job near you, uh, or for where you're going to school. Um, Also, find clubs out there that have your interests. It's not required for you to do. sports at all or stuff like that. They let's say you want to do football, but you don't want to tackle and you don't want to try and do all this crazy stuff that they do in football. Well, they have flag football at most places, or you want to play softball, or you want to play baseball. Well, they got softball, stuff like that. So just kind of make sure you get familiarized before you actually go to your college, of like what they have to offer. Granted, you should have done this before you applied, but make sure you're doing that now. So that's about all I can think about. If I think of anything else, I'll probably leave it in the comments for you guys to kind of read. Uh, I know this was a long video and I had a lot of information for you guys. So I want to thank you guys for watching this to the end if you got this far of watching it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoy college.